Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Felicity here. Today I'm going to do a review on the Lover's Path Tarot published by the US Games, and the illustrator of this deck is Chris Wardell. And I know that this deck has been out for a long time, but I think that as long as you feel connected to the artwork and the deck is helping you to convey a meaning, to convey a message to the seekers, you should keep using the decks and keep talking about it, because tarot decks are not a trend, and it's quite a personal experience if you keep working on certain decks. And nowadays what I see is that there are thousands of decks out there, and every year there are hundreds of decks got published and promoted, and it seems that at a certain point we keep collecting new decks and keep adding the decks to our own collection, and but as our collection expand, we will get lost in the sea of tarot decks, or we got overwhelmed by the latest decks, and it's like at a certain point you are chasing after the latest decks, like you are chasing after the latest gadget and keeping updated with the gossips of the latest news of celebrities or something. But yes, I feel that as long as the decks contribute to the tarot reading world, we should keep talking and we should keep using that, because the decks will be gone or the decks will be discontinued unless we talk about it. We keep praising about the strengths and keep talking about the downsides of the certain decks, so that the new tarot readers or newcomers will get to know about which decks are suitable for their own use. And so yes, sometimes it is a shame that great tarot decks got discontinued and replaced by the latest decks, because it will create a price increase if the decks are still inspire tarot readers, and somehow for some reason maybe the popularity got decreased and then they got discontinued, and yes, it is like unobtainable for the new tarot readers or the newcomers of tarot world. And yes, it's a pity that some decks got discontinued, not because of they are not great, but because we are not talking about it, or maybe we put them aside and we chase the new decks. So I feel that sometimes it's good to bring back the decks that are great, that are able to inspire people, and so hopefully the decks will keep published and keep having the latest addition and for the newcomers. So that is the consideration that I feel for the preservations of the tarot decks that are great. The Lover's Path tarot set I got is this deluxe version, and the main reason I got the deluxe version is because it got the book. You get a very colorful book that describes the cards, and it will give the stories of that inspire the creator and to create these images for each card. And also you'll be given a lot of meaningful depictions of the cards and meaningful meanings, the interpretations of each card. Also you get several spreads of the use of these tarot cards. It's very useful, and it has 160 pages colorful, fresh interpretation and description of each card. And also you get the tarot spread for your own tarot reading, and you don't need to use the tarot spread cloth in this case. And also, of course, not forgetting about the deck in a very beautiful box, individual box for the tarot sets, for the tarot deck. And so I highly recommend you get the deluxe box if it is possible. It is in a very sturdy hard cardboard box with the beautiful books. So if you're a new beginner, I highly recommend it, because the majors are depicting all the legendary couples. Sometimes the couples are taken from the myth, and sometimes the couples are taken from the play, such as the Romeo and Juliet play by Shakespeare. And sometimes they are depicting the famous artists back in the pre-Raphaelite period, like Dante Rossetti and his mistress Beatrice. And yes, now let's talk about the strengths of this deck. For me, I feel drawn to the beautiful images. Each card are beautifully drawn and beautifully depicted the couples, and I feel that it also closely following the traditional Rider-Waite systems, except the majors. So if you're newcomers, new learners, I encourage you to read the books and read the companion books. And also it is useful to remember the basic meaning of the Rider-Waite systems, and also look at the basic meaning and the stories behind each couples that are depicted in the major arcana. And so all the minors, except a few cards, really closely follow the traditional Rider-Waite system. But of course, there are some variations for you to take a look at, so that you will feel the freshness of this deck. Because if you are very familiar with the Rider-Waite system, you will find that the new variations depicted in the cards will help you to get a new perspective of the traditional Rider-Waite system. And so it gives a little bit of the challenges to the advanced tarot readers, as well as the basics helping hand to those who are new to tarot reading. And so I feel that this deck are suitable for both advanced learner and also the newcomers of the tarot reading. But the downside for me, is that every time I got drawn to the artwork, and the artwork is so beautifully drawn, that I got lost in the beauty of each card, and I always overlooked the deeper, darker sides of the situation that the sitters are in. And when I convey the message, I always convey in a very positive and almost like overly positive and overly optimistic tone in my reading when I'm conveying the message to my sitters. And so every time when I'm using this deck, I'm very, very cautious and very, very careful with the meanings of the cards that I'm trying to convey, because this deck is very kind and soft-hearted and gentle and beautiful, that it almost promotes the beauty of love and romance, and you're always in a cloud nine, and it gives you an illusion that love and romance should be painful, and the pain is very beautiful, and it almost like glorifying the pain and diminish the pain the sitters are in. So every time I look at the spread and I see, oh, it will be all right and it will be fine, and yes, the overly optimistic message I will convey using this deck, because they replace the sword with the arrows of the Cupid. They also try to use the heart. Take for example this card. You see the arrows of the Cupid is, the tip of the arrow is the heart. And when we see the heart and we see romance and beauty, even though the sitters are hurting inside, I will automatically think that, oh, it's quite beautiful because there's a heart in the arrow. You are hit by the Cupid's arrow, and it's quite okay to be painful. It's almost like you are wearing a pair of high heels and you are hurting your feet, and because the beauty that the high heels can make your foot look longer, and you almost like willing to bear the pain the high heels are giving to your feet. And this is the deck that give me, this is the vibe of this deck that is giving me. So yes, I will encourage you to look beyond the beauty of the romance when you are trying to convey a message of this deck. Yes, other than that, and I really like the artwork and the romance that they are trying to depict, and also because the major arcanas all depicted the very beautiful couples, and it's like you're not sure whether they are trying to give you the meaning of the positive side or the unpleasant side, the shadow side of the card. So if you read reverse, you will have an advantage of using this deck when you draw the majors. And if the major go downside and go the reverse side, and you know that it's giving you a warning. But because I don't read reverse, I will sometimes spend a little time to look at the whole spread to try to see whether the major is conveying a warning or suggesting a very positive outcome. So this is the deck, the strengths and the downside for me of using this deck. Now let's look at some of my favorite cards. I will give my own perspective, own interpretations of my favorite cards. Let's look at the cards, shall we? Now here are my favorite cards, and I will start with the majors. And you can see what I mean, that the majors are depicting the couples, and sometimes you are not sure whether, if you are not reading reverse, you're not sure whether it is conveying a warning, less positive outcome or the positive outcome, because see here, this depict Romeo and Juliet from the Shakespeare play, and in the play they actually got married, but the ending is a little bit of tragic, and because both of them die, and so you are not sure whether there's actually signifying the traditional marriage for the sitter, or actually there will be a downside for the ending. So this, if you read reverse, then it may give you a hint. And another example is that they are all very beautiful and all seem very happy, and immerse themselves, indulge themselves in the romantic love and chemistry. And this card is temptation, and the traditional meaning that match this card is the major arcana devil's card. So yeah, of course the dark background depict the the temptation, the hidden secrets that we are not sure of. But still they are very beautiful, and like they are floating, and there's a passion and there's purity. So if you don't read reverse, then you need to look at the neighbor's card, so to give a very solid concrete meaning. Here is the desire and the couple embracing, and because there will be sometimes the lack of symbols, and you're not sure whether it's actually talking about the positive side or the downside of the relationship or the situation. And another card here, the balancing of the passion and the emotion. This card actually, yes, letting go of control, listening to your heart, and the expression, the freedom of expression of passion. Power struggle, the name of the card is called Power, one of the majors. And because they are not depicting some suffering or the unpleasantness, but actually the couples, some of the couples depicted here going through the unpleasantness, and sometimes they have a happy ending and sometimes not. Sacrifice, the hangman. You know, there's no very unpleasantness when we are looking at the card. We know that there are some hidden things going on, but it's not some kind of shocking image that shocks you and make you unpleasant. And so sometimes I will convey a meaning of overly positive message or overly optimistic. This card, I feel that there are a lot of meanings depending on, you have to look at the neighbor card. And this for me is like the shape of the sexual organs of a male, and it can indicate that the persona here, the sitters here, is quite bored with the authority, and maybe she's bored, or he or she is bored with the structure of the marriage, of the structure that the authority gives her or him. And if someone is chasing after the male heir, it can indicate that, okay, this person has 2 children already, but she is chasing after the male heir. And sometimes it's quite tiring, because the windows here, like getting some fresh air. And another here, pentacle, the coins, depicting the persona here always needs some validation from the partner, from the relationship. And she's very passive here, just sitting here and not scared to move, scared to express herself or himself. And it's like the relationship is like giving her some value, the validation of her own worth. And so for the arrows, for the sword card, you know, they'll be depicting all the good side of the pain. You know, always got company by a friend, by angel, helping. There's a helping hand. And another here, this person is quite willing to move forward. Maybe she was involved in a triangle relationship. Now she's taking away this triangle relationship. She's moving out of this triangle relationship. Another card, you know, angel is trying to lead the way, or angel is trying to persuade the persona to let go of the busy thoughts, busy chapters of the mind, to move forward. Or it can mean that someone is trying to go away because of a lot of failed communication. And last but not least, I feel that this card is very nice. And yes, normally we think about the 3 of Cups, we think about celebration, but it also conveys a message that we are all linked together. You see, you can actually see the pattern, you know, the circulation of the pattern here. One dress linked to the other dress and linked to the other dress. It means that there's a unionship in this, and we are reminded that we are all linked together, we are all connected together, and there's no need to feel you are outstanding in a crowd, because sometimes we got lost in the celebration and we feel that we always have to be the center of attention. So this card asks us to look at ourselves, and we are all connected. Your happiness is the happiness of others, so spread out your happiness instead of feeling that you are the center of attention, because you are no better than the other and the others are no better than you. So I hope that you enjoy the my own interpretation of the cards, and you enjoy the review, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.